to start with the clerk not being able to handle the filings in this case because of all of the controversy, and the Supreme Court now saying that their clerk is going to handle those filings. Your reaction to that decision?
Well, that's 100% the right decision. You can't have the clerk who is being accused of improper conduct in the original trial handle anything that's going on in this hearing at the end of January. I mean, you have to remove her to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. So I think procedurally they're doing the right thing. And I have to say, maybe it's the law geek in me, but I'm fascinated to see this hearing. I'm probably more interested in this hearing than I was in the original trial.
Oh, it's going to be fascinating. I can't wait to hear how this is going to unfold in front of the judge. And to your point, Marsha, I want to ask you about what the defense has just recently filed as of yesterday in this case. Their pre-hearing brief, they say to this court that we don't have to prove actual juror bias, that they only have to show that there was inappropriate communication between Becky Hill and the jurors. And Marsha, I think I lost you, so I'm going to lodge this to someone who says he's geeking out, Rich, about this evidentiary hearing. But they're saying they don't have to prove actual bias. I think that's been the conversation, is that if the jurors weren't actually prejudiced by these comments that she said, for example, allegedly saying, don't believe what the defendant says when he takes the stand, pay attention to his body language. If she said things like that and they can prove it, if there's not any bias and the juror says, I didn't really think much of it, didn't weigh in on guilty versus not guilty, do they still get a new trial?
Yeah, there's a dispute here between the prosecution and the defense on the burden of proof. And the defense says they just have to show improprieties, and the prosecution says they have to prove it actually impacted the verdict. And I haven't done a deep dive on South Carolina law, so I don't know who's right. But to me, if they can show serious misconduct by the staff of the court that did this murder trial, then they're going to get a new trial. It's not something to be messed around with. You can't just assume it didn't impact the jury and take the jury's word for it that they weren't affected if, in fact, the clerk was talking to them improperly, urging them on improperly, or anything else. That's why I'm so interested to see exactly what the evidence shows at this hearing.